What's going on, YouTube? You're watching the Shieldbearer of Faith. Thank you for being here. I have my best thoughts while running. Before you go any further, go check out the new training nonprofit that we have started. It is donation-based only, called Saveonemore.life. That is the website for it. There's also a new YouTube and Instagram channel for it. Saveonemore.life. Let's talk about ghosts. So I went and saw the new Mission Impossible with my wife a couple days ago. Excellent movie. One of the best movies I've seen recently. And they make a mention in the very beginning, without giving much away. They say the statement you've probably heard before of a ghost in the machine. And I know what that term refers to, but bear with me. You ever have things in your life that you swear you saw or see still that aren't there? Or maybe you have a moment where you get confronted with reality and you see for real that it's not there. I had this when I was a cop. You get so used to seeing criminals all the time, before you know it, all you see is criminals. And that's not productive, and it's also not real. Now, you can see behavior that mimics criminal behavior, but because of the lifestyle that you're leading or the mindset you're living in, your worldview maybe, you're seeing ghosts everywhere. You're seeing things that are not there, at least some of the time. But just like these ghost stories that you'll hear about for like haunted houses and such, just like those, there are still some that are entirely unexplainable and believable. And so some people, while they may have been accused of seeing something that wasn't there, they in fact did see what they claimed to see. Now here's where we're going with this. There's a dangerous borderline on this topic. I have friends, and I see this a lot online, but I know people that have this symptom more often than others. Now, I know a lot of people around the world now. I met hundreds of people in Ukraine. I've across this country met thousands of students, not including anybody for any other reason. So I'm leaving this very vague, but I know people that see things in their life that they are certain are a certain way, and they exclude any other possible explanation. For example, if you go into Walmart and you see somebody acting intoxicated, that's a term we used as a cop. Intoxicated could refer to a variety of things. It prevents you from being nailed down to one assumption. Instead of me saying they were high on meth, by saying that they were intoxicated and then describing the behaviors, you can maybe reasonably determine that maybe they were using meth. But I've had times in my life where I was proven to be wrong, even with all the experience that I had at various things. Here's an example of that. Don't worry, we're going somewhere with this. Example of that, I picked a young lady up one night. She was like 19, and she exhibited all the behaviors of being intoxicated. I believe she was probably on something like ecstasy, something of that nature. She was very sexually driven, like very. In handcuffs, she could not keep from doing things that were inappropriate. And her mom was adamant she doesn't use drugs. Now, I heard this all the time, so I rolled my eyes and I said, yeah, well, she's high right now. My partner who was with me, who had twice the years of experience that I did at that time, he said the same thing. She's intoxicated. Come to find out, she was not. And her mom was accurate. This young lady did not use narcotics at all. We know this because ended up taking her to the hospital, and they found she had a thyroid problem at 19 that mimicked very similar behavior to her being high. But because my worldview was such a way, I only gave it one option. She's high, she's intoxicated, without any other possible answer. And before you know it, we can all be guilty of this. You go into Walmart, you see somebody acting what you believe to be suspicious, so they must be a criminal, or must be a drug dealer, or must be a rapist, or must be a murderer, whatever the extreme that your mind goes to is, without allowing any other possible explanation. Because there are plenty. The fact is, guys, we see things that aren't there all the time. You want another example? This one's from 3 days ago. I was running, and if I had made a video for Patreon at the time, it would have gone something like this. While I was jogging, I must have looked somewhat suspicious in my running attire, which is just a tank top and shorts, sweating to death in the 100-degree heat. I must have looked suspicious because I had a vehicle. It was a silver pickup truck, had caution canine all over the windows, big letters. So I'm thinking, okay, this is obviously a unmarked police vehicle, but they're giving you the caution canine indicators. And it turned around on me 2 separate times and actually pulled beyond me and pulled then in front of me. As I ran by, it then backed out, went a different direction. So if I had told this story at that time, it would have been what I just told you, and how it must have been an officer checking to see if I looked like a suspect that they had gotten a report on. Because I was dressed a little bit more, I don't know, a little bit more hoodlum-like. And then yesterday, I talked to the people that own the truck, because they came and fellowshipped with us for Bible study at a community gathering. And I have met them before. I just didn't see the truck. And they're not police officers. They train dogs. And they were turning around multiple times because they were looking for another friend of mine that they were supposed to meet up with. And they didn't recognize me, but they assumed that because I'm a guy running in the neighborhood, maybe I would know where a location is. They were trying to find a place. But my initial determination gave me all of the indicators that it was a law enforcement officer in an unmarked truck, which is not impossible. In fact, it's likely. And that they were checking to see if I was suspicious. But that's not what happened. I saw a ghost. I saw something that I misread. And I excluded any other possible answer, any other possible outcome. You can apply this to your own life. You might see any number of things. Maybe somebody's being creepy. You go to a store, somebody's, I don't know, staring at your wife. Yeah, that's not something I enjoy. At the same time, they could be staring for any number of reasons. Have you ever met someone who has a mental handicap? They don't perceive body language or communication cues like the rest of us do. Sometimes they'll just stare. Is that possible? That maybe that's the person that's staring at your wife? Yeah, for sure. Is it possible that you can't see physically if they have a mental impairment? Heck yes, it is. An example of that is a TBI, traumatic brain injury. Oh yeah. Doesn't mean that they're autistic. Also doesn't mean you can see it on them. But they just don't behave like the rest of us. But most of us would jump to the, well, that man right there is staring at my wife, so therefore he is. And then we go down this rabbit trail of assumptions. How do you know what you see is the only answer? How do you know? Not how do you think. That's not the same as knowing. I believe, or I think, those are harder to prove. How do you prove something? That's where it gets tough. Back to my law enforcement days. That's where it got real. Because you can have all these assumptions based off the wording we used was training and experience. Your Honor, based on my training and experience, this person was intoxicated for this reason. But more than once, people have been found to be innocent because of some toxicology report that indicated no, They had low blood sugar, so they acted like they were intoxicated, or any number of other examples. You have to look for more than just one or two indicators. You have to really compound what's the likelihood that the thing I believe I'm seeing is real, and then deduce from there. You can combine that with a lot of other things, maybe some spiritual discernment, maybe some physical body language, maybe some verbal cues, any number of things. But do not exclude the possibility that there's more than one answer to what you think you see. Apply that however you will. Be careful making absolute statements like, I know this is what was going on. Guys, the fact is, most days we don't know squat. And if you're anything like I am, about the time that I think I know for certain almost anything about the Lord or about anything in this world, give it 5 minutes and I'll be proven wrong, or I'll be proven misguided or slightly off, at least. Apply this to your life. Use better discernment. It's not every time that you see somebody that you think looks a certain way, it doesn't mean that you're right. You might just be seeing ghosts. Hope it helps. See you later.